welcome to episode 5 of the Tea and Possibilities podcast. I'm Nikki and this is a podcast all about knitting, making and crafting all the things here in Southsea in Portsmouth on the south coast of England. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram as hippie_Nikki, and you can find all the show notes for everything I talk about on my blog, and all the links will be just down there. Welcome! Thank you so much for coming back, and thank you so much for checking out this podcast if it's your first go. Little bit of a disclaimer, I have got a bit of a cold starting, so I'm sorry if I'm a little bit snuffly, and that does mean it'll be a slightly shorter episode, just because, as you might have heard, I've got a little bit of a sore throat. Which brings me on to this week's tea, which is not tea at all. It's actually hot apple juice. When I was little and whenever I was unwell, I would always have hot Ribena, which was a little bit of a treat and always made me feel better. So when I'm not feeling so well, I always want hot Ribena. We didn't have any Ribena, unfortunately, but what we did have was apple juice. So, that was actually really good and very autumnal. I think I might have found a new vice is hot apple juice. It's in my not Clariscliffe mug, which I just love because it's so bright and colourful. And actually, looking at it now, looking at the trees on this, very autumnal. So very in keeping with the theme for this episode, really. I'm feeling very, very autumnal today. It's a beautiful day out, very clear, very crisp, bright blue skies, and yeah, it's just a really lovely day out. Right then, let's jump right in to Whipped Up. There's lots to talk about in Whipped Up this week, but unfortunately not loads of knitting content. So sorry guys, I've been pretty tired this week with trying to get to the gym and also feeling a little bit under the weather with a cold starting has meant I've been pretty sleepy. So there have been evenings where I've either not knit because I've been reading instead, or where I've ripped back most of what I've knit. It's not Tales of Woe. we haven't reached last week's epic Tales of Woe proportions, but it hasn't been a great week. Anyway, let's crack on. First up, as always, is going to be my Cozy Memories blanket. Unfortunately, we've only got half a square's progress on here, which is this one, which is just the most unicorny pastel rainbow. I absolutely love it. It's just perfect. This has been my kind of pick up when I'm very sleepy knitting, mainly because I kind of think, oh, it's garter stitch and it's all squishy and there are all so many beautiful colours, and how wrong can it go? It's garter stitch. It's almost as though I don't remember last week's episode where we learnt that garter stitch can and does go wrong. I do feel that I'm slowing down a little bit on this one, purely because I'm very aware that I've got some gift knitting to get finished by the end of November. And not just knitting, I've got some other bits and bobs I need to finish. So I think this one is just going to get very minimal amounts of work done kind of as and when I need a bit of a palette cleanser, until all of those are off the needles, and then I can just pick up and knit whatever I want really. So for the time being, only a little bit of progress on this one, which is a shame, but it's a really long-term project anyway, so I'm not too sad that there's going to be times when this gets a little bit of work, times when it gets a lot, so that's just going to be swings and roundabouts with this one, I think. Next up are my mini Weasley jumpers. I did lose some steam on these because actually knitting, 7 tiny jumpers, while that doesn't sound like a lot of work, it's actually fairly monotonous. And of course having a deadline meant I was having to do them one after the other, so I kind of took some time off from them this week, and then I sat down last night and decided I was going to convey about them. So last night I did the body of a lovely purple one. It's not much to look at, but it is a very lovely royal purple, so I think I'm going to make a couple more of those. But what I'm actually going to do now is knit all the bodies that I need, and then I'll knit on all the sleeves, and then I'll do all the neckbands, so that then I just feel that that's going to be a bit quicker than doing a full one every time. And seeing them all pretty much, once the bodies are done, they're almost done. And I think that seeing them all ranged out like that is really going to spur me on to finish them. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that next week I will be able to show you my whole little troupe of mini jumpers. And if not, definitely the week after. Finally, I did rip out my lily pilly. If you saw my Instagram, I posted a little video of pulling it out, and I actually found the process quite soothing. I think, as I said last week, it's because I hadn't knitted on it consistently for quite some time, so I wasn't feeling like, oh, you know, these weeks of work have been wasted. I just kind of felt like, okay, that's annoying, but it's okay, we can start again, it's going to be better. So I ripped it out and I cast it back on again. Here is the progress I've made. Not much. Not much, unfortunately. I think we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stripes. 5 stripes, so quite a few to go. And I have to confess, this is not the first cast on. I'm so sorry. This actually got up to about 10 or 15, and I looked at the edges and I didn't like how neatly I'd carried the yarn, or in this instance, how unneatly I'd carried the yarn up the side, and I just thought, oh, it's fine, I'll carry on. It's you know, it's just, it'll block out. And I kept looking back at it, and I could just hear Gigi from the Knitmore Girls in my head saying, if you don't like it now, you're not going to like it 10, 20 rows later. And what is the point of knitting something this beautiful and putting this much work in if you're not happy? So I ripped it out, I cast it back on, and I started again. And yes, I have been very good, and at the end of every stripe I have been counting my stitches. It's a pain and I've got a horrible feeling that about halfway through I'm going to stop, but I hope I don't, because if I keep counting them, it will keep fresh in my head not to make that mistake again. I will catch the mistake if I do make it. So yeah, this is what I'm aiming to get done without having to rip out again. Wish me luck. So yeah, that's all my knitting whips for this week. But thankfully, not all whips are fibre related, because unfortunately I am the world's slowest knitter. So, you know, you wouldn't get a great deal from me if that was all I was sharing. So what else have I been up to this week? Well, I finally made a start on my cross-stitch designs, and unfortunately I don't have them here with me because they are on graph paper, which you wouldn't really be able to see if I held them up. And I will soon be transferring them over to computer so that I can actually make a real pattern, tidy up any edges and print them off. So I'm not trying to follow from graph paper, which is actually quite difficult for me, probably because I'm a bit of a messy sketcher, that might be why. But I do hope to show you next week when they're all printed off and potentially started. I did actually do a little bit of filming around the process, so I may put together a vlog just about how I got from blank graph paper all the way up to the finished stitched initial, which I may pull together as a little interesting video to share with you guys. So let me know if you'd like to see that, and I will certainly pull that together for you. This weekend is also going to be a mega baking weekend. As soon as I finished making this podcast, I will be venturing into the kitchen to get my Christmas puddings made. I'm so excited. I love making Christmas puddings. I always end up getting my hands in there, getting all squishy, and it just reminds me of being a kid again and making them with my nan. And we used to do it every year, and the smell is like autumn, and it just reminds me that Christmas is coming, and I just love it. It's just a really sticky, messy process that is just, oh, I love it. It's just brilliant fun. And then tomorrow I am going to be baking cupcakes. We have a little thing on at work for the Great British Bake Off. Everyone who wanted to get involved all got assigned one of the contestants, and if they get voted out, you have to bake for everyone the following week. I got Benjamina, who didn't go out this week, she went out last week, but unfortunately I just didn't get around to baking Sorry guys, if anyone from work is watching, I just didn't get around to baking. So I'm going to do my baking tomorrow, which is Sunday, and I'm going to take them in on Monday. I'm actually trying something a little bit different with these cakes. I have never in my life baked a vegan cupcake, cake, vegan anything really. I'm very into my dairy, I'm very into my cheese, I love scrambled eggs. I'm most definitely not a vegan. But there is a very lovely vegan lady at my work, and it suddenly occurred to me when I was trying to figure out what to bake that she probably hasn't had any of the cakes that have been going around because none of them have been vegan. So I remembered this brilliant thing. This is Miss Cupcakes, the naughtiest vegan cakes in town. For those of you who don't know, Miss Cupcake, or Ms. Cupcake I should say, Ms, has a fantastic shop in Brixton, and my lovely friend found it and said, you've got to come to this shop. It is absolutely amazing. The cake is amazing. I don't know how she does it. So we went along, and I knew at this point they were vegan cakes, and I've got to say I was dubious. I was dubious about how moist they were going to be, how creamy and delicious. I had my doubts. I was ready to be proved otherwise, but I had my doubts. And we got there, and we bought cupcakes, and we shared a slice of this massive red velvet cake. I was just in raptures. I just couldn't believe that you could create something that moist, that soft and delicious with no eggs, no milk, no butter. They just tasted so sinful. They were amazing. That very same friend got me this book for Christmas last year. And with the moving and all of that, I haven't actually baked anything out of this yet. So I had a flick through it the other night, and I decided that I was going to make something delicious and vegan so that everyone could enjoy it. These are the amazing cupcakes that I'm going to make. Look how good they look. These are chocolate peanut butter cupcakes, and they look amazing. On a complete side note, I absolutely love the styling of this book. I will just do a quick flick. But you know, you've got all this like kitsch, modern day pin-up girl styling, and it's just so fun. So fun, so gorgeous. And can we take a moment with how good these cakes look? They look so good. And having eaten at Miss Cupcakes, I can tell you they taste every bit as good as they look. So I'm going to make these tomorrow. I am going to report back next week as to how well they went. I completely trust Miss Cupcake, but I've never made them before. So there is a chance that they could potentially go a little bit wrong. I mean, I'm hoping not, because I've got to take them in on Monday, and I don't want to have to pop into the co-op and buy like a tub of brownies instead, because that'd be pretty disappointing. I mean, it'd be entertaining if they went completely and utterly wrong, but I'm hoping that Miss Cupcake won't let me down, but I will report back next week and let you know how well they went down. Now then, let's move on to knit and natter. Natter already. This, as you know by now, is usually my last segment, so there is only 2 segments this week, just because, as you can probably hear, I'm a bit stuffed up and I just want to go and drink more hot apple juice and knit some more. So I'm not going to be sniffling at you for much longer, but this week I just wanted to talk about autumn. I absolutely love autumn. It is one of my favourite seasons ever. What I love most about autumn are days like today, which have beautiful bright blue skies. They're lovely and crisp and clear and sunny, but there is that chill in the air. So when you go out, you want to wrap up in your hat and your coat and your scarf and your gloves. And when you come home, you want that, you know, that warming cup of tea or coffee or hot chocolate. It's good hot chocolate season is autumn. And I just love that feeling. It's very cozy, but without being really bitterly cold. I don't mind the winter so much until about January, because once you take all the Christmas decorations and the fairy lights down, it's just a bit miserable, really. So I'm not super into January, winter. So autumn is just the right blend of cold and clear and sunny, and it's just right for me. So yeah, right now I just want all the autumn things. I popped out last weekend and I got myself a couple of scented candles. I got cranberry and mandarin, which is a lovely fruity scent, but there is a kind of almost spice to it. So it's that kind of edging into winter, the festive season smell. But it's fruity enough that it's just really lovely to have wafting around the flat. It just smells really fresh and clean. And of course, I couldn't resist. I had to pick up a little cinnamon votive. I got a couple of these, and these are going in the little jars in our bedroom. Because they just smell beautiful. They just smell like, you know, they smell like baking, and the cinnamon you sprinkle on top of your drinks. And I have a lot of cinnamon in my porridge. Cinnamon is my go-to for porridge, and it just smells like dark winter mornings and a cup of tea and lovely, milky, delicious porridge. So yeah, had to treat myself to that. I mean, you know, it's better for me than getting chocolate. My absolute favourite thing about this season though is the pumpkins. I am a sucker for the food at this time of year. The root veg, you know, all the getting slightly stodgy, the stews, the spices, it's absolutely fantastic. And pumpkins are my favourite. Rich picked up this little buddy from Lidl today. I can't wait to have it because butternut squash, pumpkin, gourds of every kind are just my favourite. I love them. They're delicious. Oh, can't wait to chow down on this later. And of course, while he was in Lidl, we needed pasta. Who does not need Halloween pasta? We have pumpkins and spiders and bats in here. So this, probably going to be our dinner tonight. Lovely squash, lovely festive for the season Halloween pasta. So that has made me giggle between sneezes, which has made me very, very cheerful. I love that. I think that's absolutely ridiculous and really funny. But while we are on the subject of pumpkins, pumpkin everything, guys. I mentioned a couple of weeks ago that I was getting quite into the pumpkin spice latte, and I still love it. It's still delicious. Not entirely sure what I'm going to do when it's no longer in Starbucks, but I have heard that come winter there'll be a gingerbread latte. And gingerbread, probably actually more so than chocolate, is my favourite thing in all the world. I love ginger cake, I love gingerbread, I love gingerbread men, I love gingerbread everything. Ginger, ginger, ginger. So I may be able to replace my pumpkin addiction with a gingerbread latte addiction. I will report back once I've actually tried one, and I will let you know. But pumpkins right now are my current obsession. I keep seeing online all these fantastic candles that look like they smell of pumpkin spice, and I really want to get some, but I am very wary of buying scents online, just because there's no substitute for actually going into the shop and having a sniff of all the ones you think you might like, and then choosing the one you actually like. And I actually just really enjoy going around and sniffing perfumes and candles. Probably candles more so than perfumes, because they tend to have scents that are like cake, cookies, food. Last weekend when I went to pick up a few candles, I actually tried the new, I don't know how new they are, they were new to me. They're very round pillar shaped jars of Yankee Candle, and one of the scents was called Hot Towel, which obviously I had to smell because I was like, how can this even smell like a hot towel? That's ridiculous. And oh my God, it does. It really does. So I think I might have to put a hot towel on my wish list for Christmas, because who doesn't want their flat to smell like delicious warm towels? Who wouldn't, right? That's not crazy. I just want all the pumpkin smelling things. I love them. Lizzie from work, who I know watches, so hello Lizzie, hello, told me about this fantastic American company called Bath and Body Works, and we spent a very happy few minutes at work scrolling through their autumn scent range, so shall we say, and they look amazing. They've got like pumpkin pecan waffle, pumpkin pie, pumpkin and cinnamon. So all of these really spicy, warm, cozy smells that I love. And they've got them in shower gels and body lotions. So obviously I was thinking, if only I could go to work on Halloween dressed up, because we are all dressing up, as a pumpkin spice latte. You know, it'd be a simple white dress, little gold band, and all I've got to do is smother myself in Bath and Body Works body lotion, and I'd be the full ticket. It'd be amazing. Unfortunately, they are an American company and they don't ship to the UK. I am trolling their Amazon page though in an attempt to find some goodies for myself, but I am trying to be good because I have Christmas presents to buy as a priority. But guys, if any of my friends and family are watching, you may well get a pumpkin scented something something in your Christmas stocking this year. Spoiler alert. So yeah, that's it for this week, guys. I'm sorry it was such a short one, but I didn't think you'd want to hear me sniffing away for very long. And unfortunately, there just wasn't much done this week. I was just so sleepy all the time. Drank a lot of tea, slept a lot, watched a fair bit of Star Trek, was pretty much my week. I am really, really grateful to you though for sitting and having a cup of tea with me. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I hope to see you again next week for another cup of tea. Please do like and subscribe, and I will see you next week. Take care, bye!